Welcome back, Mouseketeers. Princess Minnie here. I'm bringing you my first DIY no-sew Minnie Mouse ear tutorial. And now, my husband, he coined the phrase ear-torial, so that's what I'm going to call them. I really love that. This is my first ear-torial. I'm going to be coming at you with tons of them in the future. This one, I'm going to go from all the way from gathering your materials to final product. I'm going to show you optional things, and these are going to be rose gold. Now, I know Disney sells their own rose gold ears, and they fly off the shelves, and people love them. I don't really love them. I'm totally buying into the rose gold trend. I am on board for it. I am here for it. I don't love Disney's ears, and I kind of don't love most of Disney's ears anyway. Any ears you've seen me wearing in my videos so far have been made by me. And I've been watching so many tutorials over the past couple of years, and I've learned a little bit from each of them. So I hope that you can take some things you learn from me, some things you learn from other people, and come up with your own tips and tricks, and share those with other people to keep the Minnie Mouse headband train going. We can all learn from each other. But anyway, so I wanted to show you my rose gold ears. So by the end of this video, they'll be right up here. Okay, so you want to learn how to make your own affordable Minnie Mouse ears that are completely customizable to your preferences. First, I'm going to take you through all of the things you need, and then we will go step by step to making your perfect set of Minnie ears just for you. The very first thing you're going to need, pretty obvious, is going to be a headband. Now this headband I got at Joann's Fabric, and it is, I think it's like their medium size. They have one that's a little thinner, and they have one that's a little thicker, and this one I believe is the 1-inch size. You can see it is just slightly wider than my thumb. There we go. That's the basic thing to check off, because we're not going to make this part. We're just going to decorate it and make it look like the way we want it. Some other super basic things you're going to need: scissors and a Sharpie. I like to use very heavy duty scissors, and I also like to use a red Sharpie because you're going to be drawing on fabric, and some of the fabrics are going to be a little bit darker, and a black Sharpie might disappear and lighter colored Sharpies might not show up as well. So I have found that red is just going to be the perfect color. What are some other things you're going to need? Obviously, fabric. And now this is a beautiful rose gold fabric that I bought at Joann Fabrics. I did get most of my supplies at Joann's pretty much, unless it was around my house, like the Sharpie and the scissors. I got it at Joann's, and so I highly recommend going there. And if you've never been there before, don't be scared. They will help you out. All you do is pick out the fabric that you like, take it right up to the cutting desk, and ask them for how much. And I believe I got 1 yard of this fabric. 1 yard should be plenty for ears. Sometimes if it is a fabric I think that I will use for multiple projects, I will get more than a yard, but start with a yard and see how you do. They also have, if you're just still nervous, they have what are called fabric quarters, which will be on the wall by their main fabrics, and it's just little swatches, if you will, of fabric, and that is something you can do to get started as well. Now, let me show you that fabric again. This fabric, I have wanted to make rose gold ears forever. This was not a cheap fabric. So normally, while Minnie Mouse ears making your own is more affordable, this one maybe not so much. It might be comparable to what you pay in the park, but it will be exactly the way you want it. Now, most fabrics are gonna run you a lot cheaper. This one was fairly expensive. I think this was $20 a yard, so I think I paid about $10. I might have gotten half a yard then. So this actually might be half a yard of fabric, because I believe I paid $10 for it. Half a yard should still get you enough for your ears. Some other things you're gonna need to get at Joann's or another craft store, or on Etsy or online, get what you like: trim. Now you'll see how we use the trim to finish the headbands and make them look all perfect. I always use this gold trim. I just really like the detail that's on it. And then I picked up these light pink pearls today. They have a whole aisle dedicated to trim, and again, you just pick out the trim you want, you take it to their fabric counter, and they cut it for you. And I always get at least a yard for 1 pair of ears, just in case I make a mistake or I want to use it for a different pair of ears. Moving on, something else you're going to need, the way I do ears, is I use this natural batting. And again, Joann's, and you can just ask for where their batting is. This is something that people use to make cloth products like quilts and whatnot. And the brand I use, I'm gonna put below on the screen. It'll pop up any second. And it's the Nature's Touch batting. You don't have to use this. I like it a lot. But you know, if you have something else, go for it. Essentially, it just is going to make it nice and fluffy. So you do want this, or otherwise your ears are going to be strangely flat. I have used cotton balls, and in some future video, I'll show you the difference between using cotton balls and batting. I would highly recommend this. Something else that's super basic that you're going to need. Glue sticks, and if they do try to run away from you, so be careful with them. But of course, if you're going to need glue sticks, you're going to need their partner, a glue gun. This is also, you could get this at Joann's. I think this is like a family heirloom one I have. And then I like to put the glue stick on a paper towel. Very simple, easy cleanup. When you need to use it, you can just press it against the towel, and then you don't have to worry about mistakes. I'm also working on a service that I don't really care about, and I highly recommend that just in case you get something stuck there. All right, just a few more basic things you need. And I know this is, you know, taking a while just to get the inventory, but it's just so much easier, I think, if you know all of the things you need before starting a project. The next thing you're going to need for these ears is going to be some kind of cardboard. I'm just using a priority mail box that I have. I have used mostly Amazon boxes actually, so don't pay for this. I'm sure you get something delivered to your house, or you've moved at some point in your life, or you've bought shoes. You have cardboard boxes at your house, or you can get them from someone, and don't worry if it has this like tape on it. It doesn't matter. We're going to be using it anyway, and we're going to cover it up, and no one will ever know. So go for it, use it. Okay, and that takes us through that. If you can get those basic things, you're going to be able to make your own set of mini ears. Oh, one more thing you're going to need, and you're only going to need this the very first time you make a pair of ears, is going to be something round to trace on. Oh, there's my cat. Hey, kitty. Anyway, it's very strange, but it's very basic. I use a Bath & Body Works candle lid. And I like this because I like the size of it. You can see it like fits, my whole hand has to hold this to cover it. You can use something smaller. Anything that you use that's round is going to be fine, but this is how we're going to trace out our ears to make them fit and be the right shape and size. So I think in the past I've used a really large water bottle. You can use anything that you have, a mug, anything that you have in your house that is round and is a size you like. Literally put it up against your head. Does it look comically large? Does it look too small? But otherwise, if you are a Bath & Body Works candle fan, you probably have some of these laying around, or you might know someone who does and just ask them for the lid, because I don't know anybody who keeps their lids, so there you go. And again, you're only going to need them for the first time you make ears. Now that we have all of our materials, I'm going to show you step by step what you need to do to make your own pair of customizable mini ears. Okay, for step number one, all you're going to need is a piece of the cardboard box that you acquired earlier, your circle, your pair of scissors, and your Sharpie. And you want to make sure that you have enough to trace around the entire circle. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take our Sharpie and we are going to just draw a circle. So if you can trace, you can do step one. And even if you can't trace very well, I still have a little mess up there. It doesn't matter. When I cut it out, it's going to be a perfect circle. And if it's not a perfect circle, it's still going to be okay. And then we'll see that why in a second. So we're just going to take our scissors and cut out that first circle. Now, you are eventually going to need 4 pieces to be the actual ears on top of your head. And here's where you can see I'm just making sure that any mistakes, I still am cutting as smoothly as possible. But if it's not perfect, that's not the end of the world, because the fabric that we're going to use is going to cover everything up. But anyway, so eventually you're going to need 4 of these, but right now you're only going to cut out 1 circle. That's it. That's the end of step 1. You've cut out your circle. Congratulations. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to make a template, and that's something that you can use not only for this ear set that you're making, but any future headbands. So it's going to make your life so much easier in the long run. So now you take your headband for step 2 and you place your headband wherever you think you want the actual ear to look like. So if I think that looks pretty good, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, most videos that you watch, some people will cut out 2 of these, but I'm going to show you exactly why I don't think you need to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handy dandy Sharpie, and I'm going to trace just the tip. And we're going to be covering this headband, so if you get a little Sharpie on the headband, it's not a big deal. Now, if you don't want to cover the headband, that's fine. But again, it's still going to be on the inside of the headband. So when we take that away, there we go. We have the line. We know that's going to fit our headband, no problem, when we go to put it on. I'm just going to go ahead, grab my scissors, and we're going to cut that guy out. Ta-da! And look at that. It's a perfect fit. Now, what I like to do is I write template on that. I give it a little smiley face, and then I flip it around and I do the same on the back side just in case I'm going to grab the back side and I don't want to get rid of my template. Just give it a little smiley face because it makes you happy when you see it. So now this is going to help you with any future ears that you make. But you need 4 ears for each headband that you're going to make. So now I need to actually trace this 4 times. And again, that's why I like the red Sharpie. It's so easy to see on the cardboard. All right. So you can see, there we go. Now this is going to match the template exactly. And this is why I don't think you need to make 2 circle ears to begin with, because now every single pair that you make is going to be the exact same if you use the exact same template. All right, I'm going to show you what this all looks like in just a second when all 4 are cut out. Okay, and there you go. You can see I've cut out 4 extra circles, and there's my template. So I'm going to keep that guy. I don't want him going anywhere. I don't want to make him into my ears. That's why I wrote template on it. And look, you can see all these stray red marks. And are they perfect circles? Not really. Do they have some rough edges? Yes. This is okay. We're going to be covering these with batting and with fabric. So right now, you don't need to do anything other than just be impressed with the fact you've completed 2 steps of these Minnie's ears so far. Don't be worried, be impressed with yourself. And I'm going to tell you, this is a fairly easy craft, but it's easy once you've done it. The first time you might want to throw it out and say, I don't want to do this anymore. So pick a fabric that's a little cheaper, pick something that you can feel like you can practice on, and you might always love your first set of ears because they're the first ones you made, but you might not. And guess what? That's okay. You still can use what you've learned, go back, take a breath, maybe realize you need a little more of a steady hand, or you need to work on cutting a little bit neater, or whatever you might need to do. But you're going to learn what you need to do and learn from your mistakes. I have. Watch a bunch of these ear tutorials. See what, whose strategy you like best. Just because you're watching my video doesn't mean you have to follow me exactly. But so anyway, we're going to get ready for step 3, which is so simple, guys. Really, it's so simple. If you could do step 1 and 2, you can do step 3. And so right now, I'm just going to go ahead and stack these 4 up and just leave them there in my corner. I am going to need my template. Still going to need my Sharpie. Still going to need my scissors. And I'm also going to need that batting that I told you about. So let's get this ready to go. I really shouldn't have hidden my template considering that it's vital and I need it. So now, did step 1 and 2 seem really easy? Good, because step 3 is the same. You're going to draw around the template, but instead of doing it 4 times, you're going to need 2 squares per ear. So if you're doing math with me, that's 2 times 4, that's 8. I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. I'm going to show you what 8 looks like, and then we'll cut them out. And there you go, 8 traced batting pieces of fabric from my main template. And look, you can even see here, I kind of had to squeeze that last one in, and that's okay. Twist and turn that template around. They don't need to have this much space in between them. Normally, I don't actually even have this much space in between them. I try to use every single piece of fabric that I have. all I'm gonna do right now is cut them out, and then that's the end of step 3. And then we can just take a break and say, wow, what a good job we've done. And there we go. You can see 8 pieces of the batting cut out. And are they all pretty much the same? Yeah, because I followed the template. But might one of them have a wrinkle in it, or might have a little fuzzy edge? Yeah, none of it matters. It's okay. It's just a piece of fabric. It's all going to be smoothed out in the end. And now I like to use 2 pieces of fabric for every 1 piece of cardboard, because I like that thickness that it gives the ears. But after you try this and you're like, you know what, I think those ears are too thick, I'm gonna go with 1 piece of fabric. That's cool. Maybe you're like, I'm gonna go real wild, try to do all 4 pieces of fabric. That's just more fabric you have to cut out, more batting you have to cut out. But you do you. These are your ears. And then let me know how it goes, because maybe I'll start doing it too, or I'll try it out. So again, I'm gonna just collect these and place them in a big stack, and I don't need to be too careful with them, just fabric. All right, so we have our 4 pieces of cardboard cut out, our 8 pieces of batting cut out, and that was 3 steps. How do you feel? Do you feel okay? Good. And if you didn't say yes, and you're like panicking, take a second, turn this video off, go do something that makes you feel relaxed and happy, and then come back and realize it's just an arts and crafts project, and you're gonna be fine. The next thing you're going to need, guess what? If you could do the first 3 steps, you can do step 4. You need your fabric. You need your template. You need your Sharpie. And you need the pair of scissors that you probably also just hid with fabric. And you can ignore the pile of trash that you've been collecting as you've been going through this art project. I clean up all at the end. I don't worry about cleaning up in the middle. So I've spread out my fabric and I've put it pretty side down, face side down. What I want to show on my ears is down and the back is up. I think I've made that pretty clear at this point. Now I'm going to do something a little different. I'm not going to trace right around the sides of my template. I need a little bit more than that. So I want to trace just maybe an inch or so around the template. It's better to have more than less. You will waste some fabric, but it's better to not run out of fabric when you need it. So that's that. I'm going to do how many? I'm going to do 4 of those. So we have 4 pieces of cardboard, and to cover those 4 pieces of cardboard, we're gonna need 4 pieces of cutout fabric. So that's what I'm going to work on in just a second, and I'll show you them all when they are done. Okay, so now you can see all of the fabric pieces cut out, and we're ready to assemble. So I've already started assembling, and you can see over here, this is the piece of cardboard with 2 pieces of the batting on it. And it pretty much just goes in this order. You have your cardboard, 2 pieces of batting, and then I'm going to show you how to apply the actual fabric that you want to show on your ears. This is when you're going to need to make sure your glue gun is nice and hot. Have your paper towel ready to rest it on. We're going to take our cardboard. Sometimes you have to play with the glue a little bit. And you just put a layer of glue on the cardboard, not all over. Take your first piece of batting, apply to the cardboard back. I like to kind of give it a little smush down, and then that's it. You're ready to actually put the second coat on. So you can see, not that hard, not very scary. Again, take your glue gun, start applying your glue. I do like to try to get out towards the edges as much as possible, but there's really no rhyme or reason to it. There's no pattern. And sometimes the glue gun can be fickle and you just have to play with it a little bit. Okay. Again, place this on the top and that down. Now, does it matter if it's not perfect? I've said this before, say it again. It does not matter if it's not perfect. The fabric is going to hide flaws, so don't worry about that. Now, you have to make sure you place your fabric face side or pretty side down, and your batting down. Now, I told you before that you should go and watch a bunch of different people's videos to see kind of what works for you and your style. Most people that I've seen have said to start at the top and glue your fabric down. Well, I'm going to tell you that doesn't work for me. It has not worked for me, and I decided I was going to start going at where the ear is going to connect on the headband. So I just tilt it around so the bottom is away from me. I grab my glue gun and I place a thin strip of glue right by the edge. Okay, so I place my glue right along the edge, and I'm just going to grab the fabric, and this is why you want the fabric to be bigger than the actual ear itself, and you just kind of pull it and press it down, and that's it. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna apply glue all the way around the circle and pull it nice and taut, and you can always kind of look to the front and see how it's looking. I think that edge looks great. So I'm gonna move on. And guess what? If you make a mistake, we call that the back of the ear. Now, you don't wanna go all the way around with your glue because it'll dry by the time you get to it. So I like to do it in about thirds. I take the edge, and this part does not have to look pretty, and I kind of turn it as I press it down. This part does not have to look pretty. You just wanna pull it nice and tight and press on the glue, nice and tight. Press on the glue, and I'm just gonna check. Does that look good? Does that look smooth? Yes. So I'm ready to move on to my next part. See all this extra? I'm gonna cut that off. Don't worry about that. Again, this is the back. It does not have to look good. As long as the front looks good, you're good. So I'm gonna place some glue, and I'm gonna start on the fabric. I found that's kind of key. Again, I'm gonna grab my fabric nice and tight, pull it to the glue. Grab my next section of fabric, pull it to the glue. You do have to work kind of fast. And again, I told you, this is all practice. It's an easy, easy craft once you've done it. Press it down. It might seem a little difficult at first. You do need to practice it, and then you're gonna be doing this in front of your TV, no worries. So now you just wanna kind of put a little bit of glue. I kind of put it everywhere because you never know where this last piece is gonna end up. And it doesn't matter if you use too much glue. Glue sticks are cheap. So you just grab it. This is where I kind of like to look at the front, pull it the way I want it, and then just apply on the back. And I'm just gonna press it down. It's a little hot. You burn yourself a little bit using glue, so if you need to ask an adult to help you, make sure you do that. All right, and you can see the front, and look how nice those edges look. You want to bring in your scissors and just trim away the excess. This is gonna just help the ears lay a little flatter, a little nicer. And you can see if you use sequin fabric, those sequins are everywhere. So if you do a test pair, maybe you do it with a non-sequin fabric first. Okay. And again, does it have to be pretty, polished? Nope, this is the back of the ear. The front is looking good. And you can always glue something down if you need to. All right, I'm gonna go and do the other three pieces the same exact way, and then I'm gonna show you the next step. Okay, so now you can see we have our 4 finished pieces covered in fabric. And again, if you think you might like an ear that's a little bit bouncier than this, try a 3rd piece of batting. Or I don't think this is too thick for anybody, but if not, try 1. Or if that's all you have, try 1. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna now put these together, and you're gonna see, oh, this is how it comes together. We're gonna take our glue gun and 1 piece, and we're gonna put this all the way on the back. Now, I really like to try to get the glue to right towards the edges up here, all the way around, because I think that makes it easier later on when we're applying trim to get the trim to lay nicely. But we're gonna get this everywhere that we can. All right. Put our glue gun down, grab our other piece, and we use a template, so these should match up pretty perfectly. And you just want to go around, and if you get a little glue, that's fine, just brush it off. You're going to just squish this down. All right. And you can kind of decide, like I think this piece kind of got a little wonky away from me right here, so that's the back of my ear. The front, beautiful. So I'm going to put that down. Let that dry. We're going to do the other side. The other ear. Again, I try to put the glue all the way around the edges. You don't have to panic and make it perfect. There's no such thing as perfect with these. Line them up, press together, and smush. I'm just making a really beautiful sandwich there. Right, and again, you can see how wide they look together with two pieces together. So decide if that's how thick and bouncy you want your mouse ears to be, or if you want to add a little more batting. All right, two absolutely gorgeous ears. So what are we gonna do? Now, if you are able to find a headband in a color you really like, that's wonderful. I found this in purple. Joann's Fabrics has purple, gray, blue, and pink that I've seen, maybe white and black as well. Let's say you really love the way rose gold and purple look, and honestly, I kind of do like it, but I'm not gonna go with this. But you could easily just apply a little glue right here and stick it on. Do the other side, hey, you're done. You got yourself a pair of mouse ears without the bow, which we'll get to in a little bit. But for me, this is not what I was envisioning. I was envisioning rose gold all the way. That's coming up in the next step. All right, now, so again, if you're happy with your headband, that's wonderful. Another reason why it's wonderful is, in my opinion, and not everyone feels this way, but in my opinion, covering a headband is the hardest part of making a set of ears, just because it's so narrow and it's a tight space to work in. So I would suggest trying this in with a fabric, a tester fabric, not something that you spend a lot of money on, just in case you need the practice. I needed to practice this. The first time I did it, I said, I'm never gonna do it again. And then the next day I tried it again and it was a lot easier. So again, you're going to take the nice face side of your fabric and place it down. And you're going to make sure that you have enough fabric on either side of your headband to cover, and I do. I am then going to place a little bit of, and this is something that I kind of figured out on my own, but you're gonna place a little bit of glue to hold the fabric in place. So you're just gonna kind of wiggle that around until the glue is a little bit dry. This is not easy, believe me, and if you just try to do it without gluing part of this down, you're making life a little more difficult on yourself. And I'm even gonna glue more than that down. I'm gonna, oops, that's why I said don't use something that you really care about, because the glue does come through a little bit. I know that I'm gonna have my ears about here, so I don't mind putting a little more glue as well there, because the ear is gonna cover it up. I pull it nice and tight, and I'm covering. Okay, press it down. Okay, and same on the other side. Put just a little bit of glue where you think the ear is most likely going to be. It's not gonna be a tremendous amount of glue, and you're gonna cover it nice and tight with the fabric. Now, here's the great news. Oh, see, I didn't like that so much. I'm gonna kind of redo it, make sure it's a little more centered. Need a little more glue, I think. But here's the great thing about the headband, is that the only person who's really gonna see your headband is you when you're packing your ears or you're taking them on or off. Because for the most part, it's gonna be covered by your hair. So it's really just to give a hint of color, a hint of the fabric that you want. Don't worry if this is not perfect, because really nobody's gonna see it too much. All right, so now that you have the material pretty much glued into place, you're going to go to the inside of the headband and you're gonna glue each side down. Now I should have made this a little bit thicker, but sometimes you don't know that until you've already made that mistake. So I'm gonna just push it down into the glue. And again, I thought this was impossible the first time I did it, and then I've done it like 4 or 5 times since then. And I'm gonna go and do this entire side on the inside. Just gonna press the fabric down. And see, my fabric got a lot wider at the base. I really did not judge this fabric properly, but that's okay, because I'm the only person who's going to see the inside of my headband. I'm gonna flip it around and do the other half. I'm not going all the way to the bottom because I think that there is an easier way to get the ends done. So I'm going to now just again fold the fabric onto the glue. And I really only need to press lightly. I don't need to hold it very long. Okay, one side, and the edges are looking pretty decent. And the only places I'm really seeing glue marks is where my bow's gonna be. So, nice. I'm gonna do the other side. I'm gonna try to do a big grouping at once. And again, I'm just going to press the fabric into the glue. Just gently press it. And yeah, glue's gonna come off on your fingers, and that's okay. Like I said, really I should have cut enough fabric so that way I'm not seeing this white strip. But in a way I don't mind that this happened because again, I want to reiterate that you're the only person who's going to see that. And that's going to be against your hair almost the entire time that you're wearing these ears. So, I mean, it's just an arts and crafts project. Don't stress out about it. I'm going to finish up what's left here on this side. And again, I'm not going completely down to the bottom, leaving maybe like a 1/2 inch. Pressing the fabric. Okay. That'll dry, flipping the headband around to finish up this last side here. So I just went around and like glued the rest of the edges down, but again, I left a little bit of space left. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna slightly trim this excess. I'll do that really quickly. I wanna leave a little bit of a tail. So if this is where my headband is ending, I might leave like an extra 3/4 of an inch or so. But we don't need all of that extra fabric. Okay. Now I'm just gonna gather the material. I'm gonna place a little bit of hot glue down. And I'm just gonna fold it. So I fold it up. Get that extra glue off my hands. That I am gonna press down. And if there's any excess, like you can see there's a little bit here, I can just trim that. So that's not a big deal. Gonna do the same thing to the other side. Lay some glue down. Gather the rest of the fabric and press and hold. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick second to trim any excess, and then I'm going to make these look a little bit more polished. Now, this is a completely unnecessary step, but I bought some gold trim. I really like the gold color. You're gonna see this in all of the ears I do. I'm gonna keep it consistent and use a gold, even though it kind of clashes with the rose gold, but it's just gonna be my thing, that I use gold trim on the inside of my ears. And this is going to essentially lay nicely on the inside of our headband, which again is another reason why it doesn't matter so much if you mismeasure or you don't love the way the inside looks, because we're gonna cover the inside up. Completely optional. If you don't have enough trim to do this step, then you can always do it later. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the end, and I'm going to slowly try to make some glue marks down in the center of the headband as much as possible. And I'm not going very far because I don't want the glue to harden before I can put the trim down. So I'm going to put the edge of the trim down. I'm going to press very gently. I'm not going to smush. And again, I'm going to start laying the trim as centered as possible. I'll go back and kind of pat it down a little bit. All right. Nice thing about glue guns, they dry really fast. So I'm gonna pull this guy back a little bit. And again, I'm gonna draw a line of glue as centered as I can. And I don't want a lot of glue because it will smush out the sides if I press the trim down. So again, just laying the trim slowly, no rush, patting it down, but again, not smushing so glue comes rushing out. Okay. And this is kind of just going to be repeated again and again. It's slow, it's tedious. It does make them look a little bit more polished in the end. But if you say to yourself, hey, I'm not showing my ears off to anybody, this is just for me. I don't really care if the part that's against my hair isn't fancy looking. I completely have respect for that. I completely understand that. But this is it's kind of more of a finishing touch. And I will say, you will have the benefit of not trying to do this for camera. Doing this for the camera, a little more pressure and a little bit more awkward with how you have to hold things. So I promise you, yours will probably come out looking better than mine. And I don't know about you, but as I get closer to the end of a project, I get very tempted to just kind of speed through because I just want to be done. If you are starting to feel that way, just put it down, put it to the side. It's better not to speed through. It's better to just take your time and come back to it when you're ready to kind of give it as much as you can. All right, putting a little bead of glue at the very end of the headband. The part's gonna, again, be behind my ear. Laying that down gently, and then I'm just gonna cut off whatever is extra. Okay, and there we go. You can see the inside now looks a lot more polished. You can see some dried glue in the back. This is called the back of the headband. There we go. No one's going to see that. And then the rest of it all around, I turned a purple headband into a rose gold sequiny headband. Guys, I'm telling you, that is the absolute hardest step. It is the most time-consuming hardest step, and if you don't even want to do it, don't do it. Now, I'm going to grab my other two pieces, and we're going to assemble our mouse ears for once and for all. All right, do you have three things? Do you have two mouse ears? Do you have your band? Decide which part you want to be the front. Oh, this is my messed up side, so I am going to make this the front of my headband. And let's see, I think I'm happy with, actually I like this side a little bit better. Yep, these are going to be where my ears are. Now, you don't want to put your ears very close together. That's not what Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse ears look like. They are more towards the side of the head. What you can do is if you have a pair of mouse ears at home and you want to lay this down for reference, you could do that. You are going to fill this cavity with glue. If you don't fill it, then there will be nothing to stick to the headband. So you want to go back and forth until it's almost like a little overflowing. Get rid of that excess. And now I'm going to press to the side. Now this you do have to hold, and you have to hold this for a little while, which is good because you can really kind of make sure it's centered the way you want it. It's not going to dry instantaneously. And so I'm going to keep holding, keep holding, keep holding. And if there's any part, when I take this away, if there's any part that's a little wonky, I just add a little more glue and we'll be good. But I don't want these to fall apart, so I'm going to just keep holding and keep pressing until I feel more confident that they are in place. Okay, look at that. Oh, nope. See, that wasn't done. I think I didn't add enough glue. That's what happens when you don't add enough glue. So I'm gonna just do another line of glue here. I'll just do it right on the headband. There we go. All right. Hot glue can take some time to dry when you do big globs of it. So I like to do this when I'm watching TV because I can just be like, oh, one whole commercial, I'll hold this ear. And I know it will stay in place after that. All right, and there we go. You can see that's a lot more stable, a lot more steady, and it's only gonna keep firming up. So I'm gonna put that down gently, grab my glue gun, and attach the second ear. Just wanna make sure there's enough glue here. I think not putting enough glue is gonna be your biggest downfall here. You can always hide extra glue that squeezes out with more trim if you want to, or sometimes even the bow will hide it. So better to use more than less. I'm going to try to match this up and make sure that the ears are about the same place. Nobody's going to notice if they're slightly different. All right, and so now I'm going to hold that here. And the reason why I'm holding it on the surface rather than up in the air is because I'm just letting the left ear still dry. I'm gonna let these sit to the side and dry a little bit while I make the bow, and then they'll be perfectly dry and ready for the bow to be applied. Now I've cut out 2 strips of fabric from the same fabric. If you wanna do a contrasting bow in a different fabric, go for it. But I like to do, when I do sequins ones, I always wind up doing, if you've seen my blue ears from my channel, I always wind up doing a bow that matches the sequins. I just really like that look. And that's the main difference I feel like between these rose gold ears and the Disney World ones. The Disney World ones have a satiny bow, and I think I prefer the look of this sequiny bow. So you can see I have a much bigger piece of fabric here, and it's like rectangle shape, does not have to be perfect. And then I have a longer, skinnier piece, and that's gonna make the middle of our bow. Just like every time before, flip this around so the pretty face side is down. Now, what you could do is you could make your bow and you pretty much just go up, down, sides, and sides, but we're not gonna do that. We're actually gonna try to make our bow a little more fluffy, a little bigger to match the bigness of our ears. So what I have is I cut out another rectangular piece of batting from earlier, and I'm gonna place it in the center of my fabric. Then I'm going to see where this is actually coming down to the center. I'm going to put a strip of glue up here at the top of the batting, and that will help hold the bow in place on top of the batting. And I just bring the sequins fabric down to match it. And pat it gently. And I think I'm gonna also put a little tiny bit of glue where it meets the edge, just to keep it a little more, again, firmly in place. I'm gonna repeat with the bottom of the fabric, attaching it to the bottom of the batting, bring it up to meet. And again, I'm gonna place a little bit of glue where the top of the fabric is. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Not as difficult as the covering of the headband was. So now you actually are going to place, I like to place the glue here because I don't know exactly where this is gonna line up. So we're gonna place the glue on the side of the fabric all the way down in a pretty straight line. And we're just going to bring it in to about the middle of the bow. Now this is the back of our bow. So again, we don't worry if the backs of things are perfect. Perfection is a quest that you're going to lose most likely. So don't even try for it, just try for your best. We're gonna go on the right side, same thing, strip of glue, and bring it in, oops, to about the center. Well, it's a good thing I wasn't going for perfection because that did not go as planned. Let me just get a little more glue here to lay it flat. Okay, we let it dry for a second. Sharon, there you go, you have your bow. All right, good luck. No, just kidding. So now we actually have to form the bow, and it's a lot of just pinching. So I'm going to pinch the center, bring the bottom up, bring the top down until I'm happy with the bow I have. And you might say, that doesn't look exactly like a bow. Well, that's because we haven't put the middle in yet. So you're just gonna kind of play around with the folds until you're happy, until you like the basic rough shape of the bow you've achieved. And if you want a bigger bow, go back and make yourself a bigger bow. Use more fabric. If you want a smaller bow, go back, cut a little less fabric. All right, so we're gonna glue where the bow parts are meeting, where the parts you're pinching were meeting. Again, use this time to fluff out your bow a little bit. But now we're not done. We actually have to turn the bow back to this ugly back part, and we have to put a little glue where that's meeting as well. It's a lot of, making a bow is basically just pinching and holding. So you can kind of see it looks a little sad. It's getting there. It's almost a bow, but it really needs a little friend to help it out there. So what we're gonna do is we are going to quickly make this look a little more presentable, because the edges are a little rough. The edges are a little ragged, so we're gonna fold the edges in a little bit so it has smooth edges. So we're gonna go down a little bit, a little ways, I don't know, maybe a centimeter or so, entire length of our ribbon. Okay, we're gonna work fast because the glue is drying, and we're just going to start folding it down. Again, this is one of those parts that's like, it's not as simple as it actually looks, and really just because you're working with hot glue that dries fast and it is annoying to work with sometimes. A lot easier in my opinion than sewing, but it can be a little annoying. And see, I'm gonna need a little more glue here. And some fabrics are just easier to work with as others too. Like I said, sequins, that's a tough fabric. So, you know, try out more, maybe like a cotton first if you want. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And maybe I'll just do like half and half and see how that goes first. I think that's a little easier. So that's gonna be my new tip for myself, work a little slower. I've said that already in this video, but you know, sometimes you have to really learn to take your own advice. We'll do the other half. And the edges don't have to be perfect because you're really not using the edges actually. You don't need that much material. So now the edges are, even though they're a little crooked, you're not going to notice that, but they're not rough. You don't have the raw fabric hanging off. And what we're going to do is we are going to take our bow right in the center. We're going to put some glue, big nice dollop of it. And we're going to lay our ribbon. Look, can you see the bow finally taking form? We're going to just press that nice and gently. Ugh, it's always so ugly until it's done, I think. And then we're gonna head to the back and we're gonna glue it, and that is going to be it. Then we just have to glue the bow to the ears. We're done, everybody. It's like I said, look, I had way more fabric than I needed. I am going to cut this off right above where I glued it. Let that dry a little. Put some glue right on top there of my ribbon. And pull my bow to meet it. And I'm just gonna cut off the extra. All right, see. Right. I could have probably pulled this a little tighter. Actually, that's probably an adjustment I would make in the future. But you live and you learn. All right, so I have my rose gold ears. I have my rose gold bow. Look how nicely they go together. It kind of just, all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, that is what they look like. That is what Mickey ears look like. So I'm gonna go to the middle of my bow, the bottom of my bow. Again, I guess you can really just decide what you want the bottom to be, what you want the top to be. And I'm gonna try to just get it nice and centered and plop it on there. Press it down nice and gently. Now I would probably let this dry for a few minutes at the very least. So go get yourself something to eat, read a book, watch a movie, do something for just a couple of minutes. You can zhuzh out the bow a little bit. So everybody, I almost forgot the one extra step. Now this is an optional step, and I think that's why I kind of forgot it, but it's a step that I think is really, really wonderful and awesome. So you also have the second trim that you bought. You have the trim that lined the inside of the headband, but this is trim that's gonna go around the ear. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. When you made your ears, there's this little gap. And that's where we're gonna lay the trim. So I'm gonna show you one side done and one side not done with the trim, and you can kind of decide what you like, because again, nobody's gonna be taking pictures of you with this side showing. So ultimately, it's up to you if you even wanna do this step. But so there you go. You can see left side with trim, right side without trim. I really love both, to be quite honest with you. I don't think you can go wrong. And you could even add more trim if you wanted to the front of the ear, across the ear, make it drape it, make it look all pretty. You could add it to the bow if you wanted, but this is it for me. I just bought these cute pink pearls and I laid them gently with some hot glue. I'm gonna show you how to do this on the other side. And again, you can decide whether that's a step that you deem optional or essential. So I'm gonna start here on the side, and I'm gonna put a nice dollop of glue. And I'm gonna just go up a little bit through the center. Again, I don't wanna do too much at a time because I don't want that glue to dry on me. Now, one thing that's very, very important is you don't wanna press. You don't wanna press hard. You wanna just kind of gently lay, gently press so the glue doesn't ooze out. You can kind of see already how fancy the side of the ear is looking with this. And now I used pink pearls. You could find a rose gold trim if you wanted. You could do white, would probably look really nice. I can imagine black would look gorgeous. I just happened to see these pink pearls and I thought I could do other princessy themed ears with them too. And I like to get a little more bang for my buck that way. All right, we're gonna keep going all the way around. And again, this is another step that just, it's like, it's not hard. It's very easy, in fact. The only reason I'm struggling a little bit is because I'm trying to perform for the camera at the same time as putting some ears together. So you'll find this a lot easier. You'll have that advantage that you're not trying to talk people through it while you're doing it. But you can see how it really just classes up the joint. I think it's just a little more of a wow. Plus, if we're comparing these rose gold ears to the Disney rose gold ears, they don't have any kind of trim like this, that I remember at least. So, score one for us. Oops. Again, it's a light press. It's not pressing down very hard because then the glue will ooze all out. And it kind of does that a little bit anyway. Now I'm just gonna kind of see where I need to cut. So I'm gonna cut after this pearl. Now, I usually actually do this step before I attach the bow. You can decide which works better for you, if you'd like to attach the bow first or afterwards. bow doesn't really hinder it too much. All right, and there you go. Wow. I'm really happy that I put that trim on both sides. All right, next time you see these, I'll be wearing them. All right, so there you go. Here they are. What do you think? Remember what I said too, don't be worried about this kind of project. First of all, it's arts and crafts. If you really want to spend the money at Disney, they'll take your credit card, they'll take your cash. You don't have to do this. This is just for fun. But the more you do it, especially if you do it off camera, it becomes really easy to customize. I'm gonna be showing you so many mouse ears on our journey together. And these are just ones I've been dying to make, but I wanted to wait until I could make them with you. So I hope you do try these or some kind of version of them and share them with me. Show me your pictures, email them. My email address is in the description box below. So get those ears to me, or I'm gonna be starting my own Instagram account, Princess Minnie's Instagram account, and I'll put that in the description box below, so you can tag me if you do that as well. I really want to see your creative efforts. I can't wait, because that could give me more ideas for this channel as well, and we can kind of help each other out there. So I don't know, I'm kind of digging these. I really like them. I like them better than Disney's. Don't tell anybody. Oh, but remember, like I said, that your hair is going to hide things, and my hair is a little extra big today, so it's really hiding them. But even if your hair were in a ponytail, your ears would be doing the trick. So don't worry about the inside of the ears. Don't worry about the edges of the ears. Don't worry about being a perfectionist. It will come in time if you practice. But look, can you even notice if there's a mistake here? Probably not. And you know what? There's always filters, and there's always editing after you do your pictures anyway. And that, we know that's what it's all for, right? The pictures. So I hope that you learned something today. I hope you had fun watching me. I know this was a long video, so I appreciate you sticking it out with me. I can't wait to show you more mouse ears, and I cannot wait to see yours too. So make sure you send those to me. Let me know if you come up with any tips or tricks of your own for these DIY no-sew Minnie Mouse ears. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you real soon.